Is the speaker set up so we can hear Spencer?
No. Because if we do want
He's asking for the speakers to be set up.
all right, it's going to echo through.
So we can hear.
It's not possible.
Actually, everyone's sound is off. Share.
Can't we hear him through the Teams though?
James, do you want my speaker up?
Yes, all speakers are going to be off.
Oh, here. Oh, here. Or the speaker. Oh,
I will try.
Like on speaker.
Yeah, mic on speaker. I will try and put the speakers on. I will not guarantee that.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I acknowledge that the Squamish Valley on which we learn, work, and organize is the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Squamish people, and is home to the Upper Squamish Indian Band. Item 1.1, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Item 2, adoption of agenda. Recommendation that council adopt the April 12th, 2023 committee of the whole agenda.
So moved. So seconded.
Thank you. All approved. Item number 3, adoption of minutes, none. Item number 4, petitions and delegations. 4.1, Princeton Alcohol Use Disorder Working Group. Edward Staple provides council with information on the Princeton Alcohol Use Disorder Working Group.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to give my thanks for this opportunity to make this presentation to you this morning. I think most everybody knows me. My name is Edward Staples, and I am the chair of the Princeton Alcohol Use Disorder Working Group. Joining me today, we have two people here from Princeton, Lauren Londluck, who is the chair of the Canadian Alcohol Use Disorder Society, and Heather Allen, who is the communications director for CORRESPONDENCE. And Nika Clever, most of you know her, helping out with the slide presentation. She is the Supporter Healthcare Society representative and a member of our working group. So we asked to meet with you this morning so we could share information about alcohol abuse disorder and also to inform you of the work that's being done by the Princeton Alcohol Use Disorder Working Group. We'd like to start by giving you some information about cause and letting you know what AUD is. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Laurie and Heather.
Perfect. Thank you for the opportunity. So April is actually Alcohol Awareness Month, so it's a perfect time to come here and have a conversation with you. So we're the Canadian Alcohol Use Disorder Society, which we started in 2020 in Penticton. It really started with a family physician named Dr. Jeff Harries, who actually came here several times to Princeton to talk to the clinicians and spread a message about a new and compassionate way to help and to treat people with alcohol use disorder. And so just briefly, our organization is working to create meaningful change in 4 areas, which is to support individuals who are directly impacted by alcohol use disorder within the healthcare system, to make an impact in research, and then as you hear about today, to make an impact in the community.
So what are we talking about when we talk about alcohol use disorder? So commonly it is known as alcoholism or having a drinking problem. And that's where you're compelled to drink too much and not be able to stop. And it means, even if it means you're destroying relationships with your family, your community, other loved ones. It also means you have difficulty with cravings when you attempt to stop. So the next slide, the next one. So I showed you this slide, and you can see on the slide it describes alcohol use and opioid use. And what will be surprising to most people in see that alcohol use from a cost of healthcare, loss of productivity, or criminal justice system actually is huge relative to the opioid crisis, which you hear a lot of. This slide is not to compare one terrible disease to another, but rather to show, because it's socially acceptable and it's legal, the implications are massive. And there's even research out there globally that says alcohol use disorder, in coupled with about 3 other diseases, accounts for 30% of global deaths. So it is something that is understated in many different ways. So one thing that is, I will say, is it's a big issue in BC, as you can see. It's a big issue in interior health. On a per capita basis, interior health has the highest rates of alcohol use disorder. And unfortunately in Princeton, you are one of the communities for per capita rates of alcohol consumption. So it's an issue for all of us to look at.
Okay, so there's a lot of information about how alcohol use disorder affects community and our province, but really the question that we're trying to help answer is what can be done about that? And so one of the main things that we advocate for is understanding alcohol use disorder as a medical condition, heart disease or diabetes. And that's a big shift for people to think about. But what it means is that there's a lot of science behind it, but to just kind of boil it down into one sentence is that it's that alcohol use disorder causes some people's brains to intensely crave alcohol in a stronger and different way than it does for other people. And there can be a variety of reasons for that trigger. It can be a biological reason, it can be environmental, it can be some sort of life experience or trauma. But what we really want people to know is that this can happen to anyone at any point in their life. So really, we're shifting away from thinking about this as something like a weakness of character or a moral failing, but it's a medical condition. And so, along with it being a medical condition, the really great part of the story is that there's hope for people who are struggling to overcome their cravings. And there's hope for people around them because with a variety of different treatments, a full recovery is possible for just about everyone. So just a little bit about the medical treatment approach. So there are several medications that are available for treating cravings for alcohol. These medications are usually just taken for a short period of time while the brain heals. And how this happens is you go, they're prescribed by a family doctor or a nurse practitioner. And so this care starts at your primary care office, and it's part of an overall plan to see if it fits with your individual care options. The medications that you will be working with a family physician to choose are based on an individual's consumption history and also their drinking goals. So it's really important to know about this approach. So it's about eliminating cravings, but it doesn't need to be abstinence-based. So it's about supporting individuals to take what is a compulsion for them back into a choice. So when there's something that comes out, like the new low risk drinking guidelines, which you may have heard about in January, that came out and said suddenly that it's really 2 drinks per week for men or women is what is below the risk of several types of cancer and other health conditions. So that's great information, but with this treatment approach, a person is able to take that information about why they would want to reduce their drinking and actually have an effective way to decide what their own drinking goals are going to be. Do they want to stop drinking altogether? Do they just want to reduce the number of heavy drinking days they have? Or do they just want to kind of reduce their consumption to more healthy style? And then the last thing is that this approach also doesn't include other options such as programs or traditional supports or family supports or counseling. But it really is to provide stability from cravings so that you can have complementary care.
So Princeton, I know you have pride in community, but you're actually leading the nation in this. So Princeton, this kind of knowledge just takes a long while to get spread out and have people know it and have people believe it, because we've heard so many other kind of treatments, what using medications have in some respects gotten a bad rap. But the physicians here are fully practicing in this mode and using medications to help people reduce their cravings and start to decide what their level of choice is with medications. In Canada, if somebody wants to have this kind of treatment, the odds are 1 to 5% of physicians know about it. In Princeton, all of the physicians and nurse practitioners practice in this manner. So if you go to your physician and ask for support, you will actually get the latest in treatment. Which is why we thought Princeton was an amazing community to come to look at, can we build out the support for the community within the town of Princeton to help spread this information and build support. Because clinical care isn't enough to help, to support people who are struggling. Individuals need to be surrounded by family and a supportive community. And so in November last year, we brought leaders together in a workshop. We shared information that you've just heard today around alcohol use disorder and had a community conversation about how Princeton has successfully managed other crises. And that day was charged with energy, and the people there left wanting to take on agency as something that they could help support. So the community formed an agency working group, which I will tell you more about.
Thank you, Lori and Heather. So as they mentioned, we, after that leaders workshop, a working group was formed. And the representation from Princeton healthcare sector, social services sector, other community leaders, and cause. And then providing support through research and communications are Maureen Byerly with Algonquin College in Ottawa and Thomas Barker at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. We envision a future in which the community of Princeton leads the way in reducing alcohol-related harms. We aim to provide hope and improve quality of life by changing the way AUD is understood and treated, and to create a positive environment where residents of Princeton and surrounding areas are able to access a full range of treatment services for AUD, including information about AUD, available treatment options, and how to access treatment. We've completed 3 projects. First is participation in the Princeton Volunteer Credit held February 11th. We gave a presentation on AUD to grade 8 and 9 students at the high school. And we have developed a Facebook page, which is shown there. We also have several projects in the works, including a Thank Goodness It's Free party this summer, with alcohol-free beverages being served free of charge. And we're also working on formation of a student-led AUD group at Princeton Secondary School. Local governments like yourselves are uniquely situated to create healthy environments. Through healthy public policies and partnerships, it is possible to both support the economic and social benefits of alcohol and also reduce negative impacts. What we're asking for from you is the opportunity to work collaboratively on various initiatives aimed at providing hope and improving quality of life and changing the way alcohol use disorder is understood and treated. And we would also like to invite a member of the council to join our working group as a representative of the town of Princeton. In closing, we'd like to share a quote from Dr. Ashley, one of our local GPs. I'm not going to read it to you, but if you'd like to take a look at that before we move on to any questions you might have. So, thanks again for this opportunity to meet with you and present this information. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them for you.
Just a point, I remember as mayor attending I can't remember for sure, but I think it was called DARE program. And it was RCMP and others talking to students about drug and alcohol problems. And I remember while someone else was talking, one of their members, RCMP members, took me aside and said, "We have way more problems with alcohol. We have way more problems with alcohol than we have with anything else." And nowadays, I'm not sure if that's still true in terms of you hear of deaths and all that sort of thing. The other thing, you said Princeton's a leader in alcohol problems and that sort of thing. I'm wondering if that has any relationship to the fact that demographically we're the youngest community in our regional district in terms of age and that sort of thing. And I wonder if that has some relationship to the problem.
It's a good question, Barry. I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but I think some of this could be attributed to the age. Age, the various age groupings, I'm not sure that there are identified age grouping that is a greater number of people that are suffering from ADD. I don't know. I think part of it is that it can change, and as Lori and Heather pointed out, it depends on a lot of different factors. It's not just age, but I'm sure that is part of it. And Lori, I don't know whether you have a comment on that as well.
Yeah, I think you've answered it well. Age, the challenges vary with different age brackets. We know drivers, their trauma, their genetics, their exposure, environment. You know, with the younger age, that tends to be a time when binge drinking is, part of their ethos. They tend to binge drink or drink really fast to save costs at a local pub, or there's just an experience with what the impact of alcohol is, and then that leads to trauma, etc. So they hear about challenges with them for sure. So, but it hits all age sectors. you know, Princeton has had its own crises over the last while, and I'm sure there's silently people struggling as a result of some of those crises that Princeton.
Is there some relationship between the fact that some people are, I can't think of the word, but addictive tendencies
Absolutely.
to not only alcohol, but also to drugs or to other problems that there may be? And I guess it's, from my perspective, I'm wondering, how do you deal with that? I mean, you're not only talking to people about, in this case, you're talking to them about alcohol, but
It's a really, really good point. Alcohol use disorder or alcoholism is referring to an addiction. And yes, people tend to be born with addictive personality, I think is the term that's often used. And you can become addicted to basically anything. Gambling, can be an addiction. What I hear you saying, Randy, is that there's a stigma attached to terms like alcoholism, and we tend to look at it as a moral feeling. The stigma is usually a moral feeling. But as Lauren has pointed out, I mean, AUD is really no different than any other medical disorder. And there's treatment, and it's easy to get, and it's effective. And I think that's the whole point that we're trying to make here, is that yes, the stigma we need to deal with the stigma, because that's a huge barrier to overcome. But for those people that really are looking for help, it's there, and I'll say it again, it's easy.
Yeah.
I speak from some experience.
May I speak?
Yes, Mika?
I started naltrexone a year ago. April 15 is when I started taking naltrexone. I knew that our doctors knew about naltrexone, so I went to my doctor. Within a week, it stopped my cravings for alcohol. And, Ed can attest to that. I drink when I want to, when I'm out for dinner, or when we have friends over and we have a party. I have maybe 1 glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, and that feels, after that, I don't want to drink anymore, because naltrexone takes away the craving. And for me, it has been a miracle drug. So I know if naltrexone doesn't work, there are other drugs that the doctors know about that they can prescribe, and Lori and Heather will know more about that. But yeah, it's a solution for people who don't want to go to AA, or who don't want to stop totally drinking, or who can't stop whole turkey. For me, it has been a blessing.
Right. I don't want to make this personal, but I can say that, Nick and I have a weak relationship, but naltrexone made it even better.
Lori wanted to say something.
Yeah, Lori.
You asked what can we do about it. I think the one thing that is important to understand is part of Dr. Harry's, he built an algorithm that number of questions that are asked of the patient around their personal history when they were exposed to alcohol, etc. And based on that interview, determines the kind of medication that will likely work best for them. This is new, and I think that the problem is we've got a lot of perceptions about alcohol, and so to spread this word and have people comfortable to even go seek help is important. And stories like what Manka has said, sharing her personal story, is helping throughout the community with people with the understanding that there is help out there and there's hope. And imagine if alcohol disorder could be eradicated in our generation. It's possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
When you say how long the medication's been out?
So the medications have been out since all of these, so BC has 4 on their clinical guidelines. And BC's been tapped on the shoulder to build Canadian guidelines for clinicians. So these 4 have been out sort of between the 50s and the 60s. So they're generic drugs that have originally been used for other purposes. So the idea that this is something new that we don't really understand, they've just never been used for this. So that's one of the positives. The other thing is coming down the pipeline, and there's just not a lot of, there needs to be research before they get approved. There's something like 20 some odd drugs coming down the pipeline that will have likely positive benefits for other types of addiction. So.
And we emphasize too greatly. Princeton is a leadership community. We are leading the nation in the work that we're doing in this area, which is, when we think about it, it's pretty amazing. But we don't want it to stop here, obviously. I mean, if we can get it right in our community, imagine how this could affect other communities, and we can spread our positive impact. So we're pretty excited about this. Anything else? Any other comments, questions?
Anyway.
Great.
Congratulations for your work. Honestly,
Thank you for coming.
Who would we hear from regarding our asks? Is that something that you had any further questions on?
Most of what we said.
We can't do the committee votes.
Okay.
So we can take it to the next regular meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on to item number 5, unfinished business. There is none. Number 6, staff reports. Gene, it's not clear. Do I turn my mic on or leave it off? Or
you sure? So the mayor's saying he can't hear us at all and is wondering if we should be having the speaker.
All the lines should be on, all the speakers should be on.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
you guys know.
He's shaking his head. He wanted everybody's cameras on too.
My camera's not working.
Oh, no.
I'd have to shut down and start up.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
That's just how
yeah. Sorry, my camera's not working. I'd have to reboot here, but, yeah, so, council has asked that we, staff do quarterly reports, and, so we're at the end of our first quarter. I'm happy to submit, my report, and you'll see a number of, staff reports there, which, each, staff member in attendance will go through their report, just briefly, and then open themselves up to questions. Just briefly, the CAO's role is to translate council's vision, goals, and objectives and put them into action. And we do that through through staff and through different programs and whatever. So to that end, I've listed a few items that I've been working on in the first quarter, and I submit that for council's perusal, and I'm happy to take any questions on those items.
Any questions?
I'm going to reboot. They're not trying to get back on.
No questions. Should we move on to that now?
Yep. Alan is not here, but his report is there, and I can, between the rest of the staff and myself, I'm happy to answer some questions on that report. It's been very busy, as you can see. Lots of applications, permits in place, and lots of flood recovery.
So all permits with the front country closed though?
Not closed. There's still, there's a number of them that have been applicated, but not always completed.
How many do we have?
There's quite a few still.
I think it says 26 of the 98 permits are finalized. Yeah. And the remaining 72 flood recovery permits are in progress and are currently active.
Do we have an idea how long the
The application process is quite quick, but completing work is it's complicated. Each one is a little different, of course. But, yeah. I know firsthand. But I still, my daughter still has. She still has some outstanding things to do as well.
mediation in terms of housing down all that sort of thing. He must have some idea.
Yeah, in Alan's report, I think he has, what did you say there, Terry?
23 of 78 are completed.
Yeah, so the 78,
Yeah. Wow. I'm sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
To better answer both those questions, those are the permits we've received. And the ones that are completed and the ones that are ongoing. There are some homeowners who haven't either taken out a permit or don't have intent to restore the house. So that's an additional number that isn't listed within his.
I guess my curiosity revolves around the fact of the ones that have started, why haven't they finished? Is there or do you?
All range of reasoning for that. Maybe lack of funds within the ownership to complete the work, or time to complete the work, or skilled labor to complete the work. You could just list off.
Can I just add something to that? In our case, with our properties, we're still waiting on insurance to pay, to come through on the next step of it. So we've been, we're now a year and a half, and we had the coverage, and we're still waiting on that. That whole complex is still waiting. So we have 6 right there, and the only thing holding it up, that the developer's ready to go, the only thing that's holding up is that the insurance is not cooperating.
So all the permits are up and really just like final inspection, right? First to completed, then we
in various stages of completion. Permits that issue, and then there are ones that we haven't seen permits taken out of work, any work. May never.
Do we have a timeline on how long these will be till they're final? You said that they're in their final phase of the build.
Yeah, so that I can't answer that directly. Alan would have a better handle on that, but they have now initiated their final phase, so they're working on it now. Likely that they want to be done, this summer sometime. So, yeah.
Yes, I was going to say similar. They've just taken out the permit for the final phase. It's not that the final phase is almost complete.
I think my last question would be temporary housing is I think that was down, right? Was there anything updated?
Yeah, there was some deficiencies that were flagged, but it looks like they're working through them, and it's anticipated that it's open for occupancy as of May 1st. So we do have an opening date.
A lot of this to do with the PTO
No, not BC Housing, just, there's work that just wasn't completed or wasn't understood to be, that needed to be done or whatever, so, BC Green is not a builder, they're just a corporation. They contract work out, and, the contractor, there's a few things that need to be finished.
It goes against what I heard at the beginning, that when our building people went through there, they didn't find a lot of discrepancies.
No, there's always been, right from the get-go, there always has been things that we wanted to see, that our building department wanted to see completed, health and safety issues, and the contractor's been slow in getting those done. And there's various reasons. It could be supply issues, it could be subcontractor issues, it could be weather issues, but now that the weather is good and they understand what is the work that needs to be done, they're working on it, and we are optimistic that we can be open for May 1st.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
I'm good.
I guess we'll move on then. Jared
is not here today.
Okay. So I'll just, let's see. Any question, Randy, or George?
Oh, where are we here? Somewhere I read the tender. For the May tender for the wells.
Yes, so we now have our approval to proceed with development of those wells. And so True has, they're working on, I'm not sure, I believe they got the tender documents already. They'll go out for tender, and we'll award that contract as soon as possible, and then construction will start on the treatment facility.
Yeah, the tender won't go till May.
That's our goal, yeah. So, it's a fairly elaborate document. True Consulting is helping us with that document, and so it'll go out, and hopefully by the end of May we'll be able to receive tenders.
The way I understood it was that Gary was holding us out in terms of design by True.
There was some questions that both sides had, and some test results that Interior Health was looking for. We had a face-to-face meeting. I think that we resolved all the questions, and now they've granted us approval to proceed.
Hey, I know about the test results in terms of the water, but the way I understood it, there were some real problems with True design or something like that in terms of the way I understood it was that they already designed was going to be put out in May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Interior Health did have a couple of concerns. They wanted to see some, I wouldn't say they weren't serious changes, they were very minor changes. And so True has worked through that with Interior Health, and they've approved the design to proceed.
But True is still preparing it for May.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I've been asked a few times on the picking up by the gates there.
Yes.
Is that the upgrade, or is that lot across the?
That's for the lot across the road. Carrie could probably speak to it more, but that is for the development of that property. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have it in my report.
Oh, sorry. Anything else? I guess we'll move on then. Mr. Daly, is he,
I don't see Jim here. Jim's not on here.
Okay.
side also good for the streets meeting?
Yeah, so you noticed that we really hit the spring cleanup. Wanted to jump on that early, so we did that, get that out of the way. We have a number of projects that we are planning, so wanted to get clean up out first, so. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the ballparks, you know, they've taken a bit of a beating because we've had our test well program down there, and now we've got our production wells done, so it's a bit of a cleanup, and it'll be a bit of a mess for a while down there.
Was there a timeline in terms of the lighting, Main Street lighting? I don't see this on here that, because it's gonna be installed right through, right?
Yeah, so they're ordered. We actually just got after council's approval the other night, we just got the official quote from the light people back to send it over. So they've sent that to us actually this morning. And we're looking at 12 to 14 weeks for making the posts. Yeah. So assuming everything goes as scheduled, which as we know, doesn't always be the case, especially when we're dealing with other contractors, but we're looking, well, hopefully within 14 weeks we'll have light posts ready to go.
And I can see that work being done in terms of the, what do we call it, band shell?
The plaza area? Yeah.
It's not a strong.
That's next.
I'm sure he's gonna talk about that. The part down, the splash park, we're just gonna be as is for.
Yes, I think the intention is, and I know we've talked about it before, is to try and repurpose some of that splash park equipment to another park. So we've got that in our work plan. Not too sure when that's going to happen, but we try and get it done. We'll try and make it a high priority item.
Why can't I think of that one?
Yeah, you know, it's still an area of uncertainty of what work is going to be done in that area. We do want to demolish that building. We're waiting for that to be done. So a little bit of a hazardous area in that area. So the best thing and the fastest thing is to remove that equipment and replace it in other parks. So that's in our work plan. Yes, yeah.
Just a comment that the work being done in terms of spring cleanup as part of that considered sealing grade.
Yeah.
The maintenance and everything else to bring things back, get rid of the dirt and the dust and the whatever's coming. Keep complimented.
Move on to Mr. Schatz.
Thank you. So as you can see, I have economic development, tourism, municipal campground, and the museum under my portfolio. These are the majority of the things I've been worked on. Any questions about them? I have to answer.
Could that be brought up today in terms of development of new industrial park?
So we have the phase 2 is ready. Those where the new housing's at. So we have 3 lots available there now for sale.
Right.
We have 3 lots in the existing. And then we're looking at that next section that's behind where the public works yard is. That'll be the phase 3 or 4, whichever we're at stage. I keep calling it phase 3 because I look at the big parks, phase 1, this little one, phase 2, and that's phase 3.
So it requires all services.
Requires services to be put in there, that's right.
Sewer, water.
Yeah, and I've anticipated that the sale of the other lots will provide us the necessary means to do that. I've also got an ad campaign going on with that projected property because there's 20 plus acres there. There's an ad campaign going out that we have a 20 acres spot available on the Site Selector magazine. And if we get the right people come in, we can work something out where they would develop that. So there's some options there where the town wouldn't be on the hook to develop that if we have the right person come in or company come in that would want that property.
Was that area had to be cleared from Laura?
Yes, and it has been. Yeah.
How long ago did that take place?
Wasn't it a while ago?
Yeah,
Yeah, last fall.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
super, thank you.
Everything's going forward as planned. The guys are down there right now working on that new wall and the stairs going in. That's the first step. We're hopefully gonna be able to do some sort of repaving in there. Just trying to figure out what the best way to do that is without it getting too hot. And then after this step, we'll be going to waiting on the bench shell to come in. Paving will dictate when the sales go up and when furniture gets put in place. So a lot will hinge on where we stand with that.
Yeah, that's good.
In regards to the lights, as I said, we're just, those are getting ordered now, so, that's, we're excited about that. Trash receptacles have been ordered, they're coming as well. Same timeline, everything seems to be about 12 to 16 weeks for delivery. A lot of marketing has gone on in the last year, through various sources. A lot of that's through tourism. We're doing an economic, industrial park marketing campaign now too, kind of kicking that off. I want to really push the fact that we actually have industrial land. So that I've got a back page ad on a site selector magazine for BC, and the whole focus is going to be on the fact that we have industrial land that's 225,000 an acre, and I think that will really that'll get things rolling again. We've had some interest starting to come back. Interest rates, obviously, as you I'm sure well know, have affected people's interest in buying right now. There's still been quite a few inquiries, so it's still good. And we're getting better weather, and we usually see an uptick there as well. Tourism numbers are continue to go up. Our numbers are higher every month. The Posse initiative worked really well, doing Posse tickets through there. It gave a lot of people in town an opportunity going to the visitor center that's never been there. And I think, the response that I've heard back from staff has been very positive. People are very, very pleased when they walk in there and see some of the different things we offer. Virtual reality rooms is coming in place. Just trying to figure out a couple of bugs to get the room finished. But that will be up and running hopefully for the summer with proper staffing. Then we'll be able to offer that for people, and they'll get a chance to view the KVR from a kayak on the river and experience it virtually. And you get to see the Ochre Bluffs, which is something cool with the loss of the KVR that I think people will really enjoy. You can pause and look, and it's like you're standing right beside it. Just shy of touching it, you get the same effect. So that, to me, that's one of our more exciting initiatives. Will probably be one of the only places that have that. Yeah. So I'm very excited to launch that and market that as well. Yeah, exactly.
And our impact is the building doing well there?
Yeah, building, I believe it got passed through RDOS last week for approval for variance. Now we're just waiting on final permitting, and then hopefully we'll be digging soon to get that going. It's going to be a bit of an inconvenience this summer for our guests, just because we're going to have some noise there. But as soon as we can get shovels in the ground, we're full speed ahead.
Actually, I'd like to ask about the Rediscover Princeton marketing campaign. Can you just give me an idea of where it's been targeted and what kind of response you've had?
So the Rediscover Princeton was a pretty extensive campaign. I've actually submitted it for BC Active Marketing Awards, which we'll know next week. It was targeted right across the country. I ran some very aggressive advertising in Vancouver. We were doing that lower mainland based off of our TELUS marketing survey, so we hit those target areas. But I also went after the Toronto market, and we've seen some people we've had some feedback on that. We did an elevator campaign. So I don't know if you guys have seen some condos have the screens in them. So we hit probably, I want to say 250 condos that had screens in them. The whole campaign to date had generated about 30 million impressions. That's including traffic off of the big giant billboard in Chilliwack that we have. We have one on Canal Drive in Penticton that rotates through, that's digital. We were in the Toronto and Vancouver Sun with a publication. We had a full page ad in there. There was an opportunity to buy that ad space because I've had some connections, and we left out because Thailand couldn't get their ad in on time. So we were able to get a space that would normally cost $25,000 for about $2,500. Because it was a last minute fill and I had something that we could put in there. And that got quite a, that's just come out. And that was in a number of papers in the Sunday edition. And it goes into an insert, which is the nice part, because it's one of those inserts of travel, so that's an interest piece that people will pull out as opposed to just, flip them through and it's, page 12 of whatever leisure section or travel it might be. This was actually the insert in there.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's continuing with the rediscover this year, and I'm keeping on the same idea. I think we're still in that stage, and it's always a constant. It's a constant effort to get recognized. It's a big push with getting recognized by TOVA and Destination BC, and that's kind of the mission that I've been on, is for them to acknowledge us. We're seeing it more. The Similkameen Valley Guide came out. We used to have maybe 2 paragraphs in there. We probably now have 5 pages in there of different things that we have here. So it is being recognized at least regionally now, and we're seeing that spread out. So it's just that it's all about, as you know, it's all about the impressions that we can get in front of people and how many times their eyes can see the ad. And
For sure.
That's what I'm shooting for.
So do you think that the ECDAV award would give the process a little more legitimacy and maybe focus that there is something here that people are missing?
It would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be nice. There's, that would be BC wide.
Yeah.
I submitted last year for EDAC, which is Economic Development Advisory Council Canada, and it did get recognized in there, but we were not one of the finalists for that.
Right.
However, the full presentation, which I'd be happy to share with council at some point, because I have a presentation deck for that as well, that I'd be happy to do a report on, and you guys can kind of see what we've done and what it's encompassed, because it's quite extensive.
Perfect.
Thanks, Eric. Nadine.
Yeah, Nadine is double booked. She's at the job fair, and so I will present for her. She's given a report with a list of programs that she's been running, or that have run in the spring here, or the first quarter. There is continuing to be a struggle to find staff and volunteers. That seems to be a trend, not just here, but pretty much everywhere. But she is working on, or has been working on, the development of the Spring Leisure Guide. That's always been popular and very beneficial for us. And I just wanted to highlight at the end of her report, she's highlighted the upcoming events. It's important that everyone kind of take note of those. And so it's going to be a fairly busy spring and summer. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I stayed along because I know that topic was so big. A lot of people want to help women in Navy as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It was such a big hit.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw the $15 tomorrow for the discount.
Yeah. I can't remember, James, that didn't come to us. Did it come to us, or did it come to us?
Yeah.
Did it?
It's sitting in a deferred revenue account.
Okay.
Pending that.
missed the people.
Well, the last 3 months, it's been busy at the arena. It's kind of a sad day the other day, but we got through it. So my guys are doing their day-to-day operations, and of course I do my day-to-day plus any maintenance has to be done around town. So as you can see, I've been working with places. We had a few mechanical issues at the arena. We were able to fix them in-house instead of hiring outside. And basically, we worked through everything, and we're planning for the spring now. It's been busy.
Ice out. Ice out.
Ice is coming out right now. So it's probably quarter of the way.
Tell my kid, tell my kid. Any work on the green, the roof?
I've got all the, I have, the electrical that was off on the roof. I had new pipes put in so they can bring it in from the side. I've got, a couple of contractors already going to be moving the other, plumbing that's up on the roof. Once that's done, everything else is in place. We're just waiting for roofers, I guess, that they can go out. That's done. I've already started some work on the arena, changing some doors here and there. But so far, and I had it lined up, we're removing all of the landscape ties in front of the arena. We need farm drainage there, so we can start that pretty soon. So. Other than that, yeah, it's we'll. Tires are done for the season, so they're coming off.
And
Yeah, so the tenders closed for the roof project on last Friday, and we're just reviewing them, and then we'll bring them forward to council for approval.
Excited.
Do we know how many replies with that?
We received 5. Yeah.
You can comment in terms of, I don't repeat, but staff. For the number of people that we put through there in the last number of years, amazing job. How they could clean up the mess that we made. We're able to clean it up and get it ready for people to come the very next day. It's amazing. A great job. I think in all cases, when people walk into the game, it's just a expand with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And people have been good about picking up after themselves too. It's good.
Are we able to add in season somewhere?
If we do some painting this year, we want to make it, it's going to be busy next season, so.
Yeah.
There'll be some changes.
That's my deal. Thank you. James Dragon.
Councilor Willis. Finance report is as written. Finance tends to be kind of similar activities every year. Just kind of varies with activity from current to tunnel. So finance busy season typically we start year-end stuff in January, and we'll be pretty busy all the way up till tax collection season in July. After that, we kind of start preparing for next year, and we kind of slow down the back half of the year. So this is our busy season. So I touched on a couple of the highlights and what we've done the last couple of months. So we're starting to do a wind down on our budget preparation for 2023. Should be ready to present their reading on April the 19th. The council, we did not have any written submissions to the public consultation process, so we should, barring any major objections, we should be ready for third reading on the 19th. Audit, we completed the field work, a couple of basic questions and things still to work through on financial statements. All stuff for Department of Force, and we should receive drafts hopefully next week or so, and then be ready to present those to council with the great action. Probably the first, I would guess the first council meeting in May. But they must be passed by May 12th. That's a provincial statutory deadline. So, first order of interim financials, those should be ready to go April 19th or the first week in May. Just have to finish off adjustments and make sure that all our organization numbers are correct and they're ready to be presented. So we'll see what we did in the first quarter. Tax rate bylaw, it goes hand in hand with the budgeting bylaw. So long as we get the third reading of the budget, then the tax rate bylaw can be brought up. Both must be passed by May 12th, so should be ready to go for the meeting on the 19th. We have built the residential water metering for this year. We've had quite a few questions about the PAUDWG in the water for the downtown areas, places that are still under boil water advisory. Our standard question is to read off the bylaw and of the provision of water. So if we provide water, the annual bill still comes through. So that's what we have reinforced what the bylaw says, and so people are going to learn about it. But in general, we have to have unique objections to that. Statutory filings, so there's a lot of statutory filings that get done in the first part of the year. We have T4s, T5s, T4As, all those funds with T-slips we send out to all employees and pays in the municipality. We finished off the school taxes for last year. We have the employee health tax to file for last year. We started a local government information system, which is a big job, basically taking all our financial statements and resubmitting them to the province in the form that they so desire. With our lending, that's become a little bit more complicated as well this year. So there's a lot of filings to happen for the part of the year, so we're working through. We have a new finance clerk in the administrative office. Amy's downstairs, so get a chance to say hi. She's been quite nice here out there. And very friendly lady, so feel free to say hi and wait through. A couple more reports that are coming up in the second quarter. We have the Sophie report, which has generated all our financial statements, so can't really start it until the financial statements are finalized. But as soon as that's done, we can start the Sophie, and that needs to be open before June 30th. And then the annual report, which about half of it is the financial statements, are also due on June 30th. So those will be started as soon as we get the financial statements approved. So I am willing to field any questions about finance activities in the first quarter. That's our report. Thank you.
Spencer, here, we still have one my faculty.
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
He has to leave, so does that affect our quorum?
Spencer's here, so give us.
Yeah, he's here electronically, so that's, we're fine. Yeah.
We're not making any motions or orders anyways. Thanks, Randy.
Any questions for James?
I have no.
Mr. Atkinson, you are up, sir.
Thank you.
Clearly
my instructions were missed.
Can I just clarify something, just in case people are out there? We're not on a boil water advisory, we're on a boil water order, correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Not my
Yeah, I know.
So, my program, I provided information regarding the emergency program, both the EOC and ESS teams. There's a report from the fire department, both for the request made of council and a year-end report that was recently generated from Chief Banks. With that is an ESS report from Maureen Parsley. Also, a string fellows report from the fire department program. I thought it best to separate those. And next council meeting update, I'll combine that into one short bullet for each area. The emergency program operations center continuing to work with staff regarding recovery and items that were addressed in the resiliency plan, working with the provincial government on our responsibilities for reporting and communications. Monitoring and planning for freshet and in the fall with instructions from the provincial emergency program and looking to hire an engineer through the flood recovery to assess the decking, temporary decking we have in place currently to ensure that it's going to do the job it was installed for. The animal control program has been busy in the last quarter, and there's been some notes there. And I've been able to complete some communications with the owners of cats as a result of some recent interest. And I think there's a better understanding of responsibilities and general ownership, animal ownership responsibilities of individuals in the community. As the EPC, the emergency program coordinator, I've just listed off some interactions and meetings to support that program. And I think generally we're seeing a lot of collaboration throughout the valley in support of emergency management with other fire departments and regional district and communities surrounding us. Regional training. We trained an additional 24 people for the EOC program. So it adds a great deal of depth to our emergency program. If we have another flood event during the flood, we were very stretched, and the team worked diligently, but was very tired. We didn't have a second string to step in and take over. And these additional people, some of them are within the regional district and wouldn't be affected by the same emergency, and would be available to assist us in management of them. Generally, I have listed the grants to date that I'm working with, and those are moving forward. One grant of note was the auxiliary generator for the EOC, with a new announcement with change of venue and supply issues, and the cost of the contract was a little exceeding the grant amount. That was returned. And currently, the fire inspection contract is being implemented by ADJOURNMENT, and they're going throughout town doing commercial inspections. Swan Lake was a project given to me, and was a management plan required to be submitted to the province for approval. And that management plan is an application for a occupation, or license of occupation for that area, which is all within the community boundary. bylaw area, I just listed some of the issues in the last quarter. Highlights was the staff training we did for the Thursday session, January 6th, was just an overview of how lawyers go about challenging communities with their bylaws and the implementation of the direction of the town council. I did request any updates from the RCMP, BC Ambulance, and Princeton Rescue. It was short notice, and most groups were unable to supply anything. The RCMP has got back to me and they're interested to participate. Well, safety coordinator has been hired. Funding was received and the program is underway for this year. And still outstanding is the formation of a wildlife committee to support wildlife actions and communicate to the province. And that's held with Councillor Gould, and I've been working with her to come around the formation of the group. And on a positive note, there's been no bear encounters yet this time, so we're making an impact. Certainly, hopefully. Sheet banks submission. The highlights are in section 3. And there's the year-end report on page 35. Highlights are the quarterly reports. There's been a request for additional services from the regional district residents at Old Eddy Road, working with the regional district to come to an agreement there. Fire services mutual agreement was signed just recently in the spring. Fire inspection taking place. The land dedication for the training site was formalized, and moving towards live fire training for wildfire in this next upcoming month. I'll jump through the year-end report to the Fire Start program report. In all respects, the Fire Start program has jumped leaps and bounds. We've signed an agreement with the regional district. No, we're waiting for an agreement with the regional district for assisting them with the Area H implementation. We have 13 new assessors recently trained, and there's a farm and ranch presentation tomorrow about Rockbridge to further engage individuals on Fire Start program. Yesterday and today, there was a forester in town doing surveys of the forest around Princeton and putting together a prescription for mitigation on those properties or areas, crown land and town-owned properties that need work to reduce fire risk. And finally, the ESS Director's Report, again, similar to the EOC report and the EPC report, several meetings, formations. They responded to several incidents, and Maureen has been asked to head up the emergency support services role for Carmius. There's a group coming online for Tulamine. So she's very capable in supplying that expertise. and working towards getting a director in each one of those areas to support their own local functions. So that I believe ends my report. Any questions or?
Thank you, sir. When you look at the bylaws that are intended in 19, is there, do you like to,
those are the tickets that are outstanding are doing that period.
so like, so do you go on title or anything for like paying for on properties or,
There are they're in receivership right now. They're with a question. And not receivership, sorry, question. They're processed by the court.
so that they're in collections, of course, I guess they're, you know, they're credit rates and stuff. So, I just wonder if they, you know, there's some go back a long time.
There are. And the company sets up an update every month. And we've written down a number of those, I've got some of them. So the list is changing, but there hasn't been any revisions. Compliance, my objective is to have compliance at the site before a ticketing process. And just get them to text it. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is sort of take a little fresh air.
It all depends. I mean, it's there was a weather system came through this weekend. And there was a typical sent out. That may happen again. And if we have a full spring into June, and also have a rain, because if we have consistent and not accelerated heat during that time, we'll have a normal melt out and we'll have no problem. So I don't know.
Long as it Anything else? George?
No, all good.
All right, thank you.
Save the best for last. So I'll just go through really briefly what we've been working on in planning and corporate services. So the Public Way Development, that's down by Caltire. You guys have already approved the zoning and OCP for that. We're just waiting for the development permit application and final design so that we can bring it back to council. Hopefully we get that soon. The airport housing project is with lawyers. It's going back and forth. I've been meeting with a lawyer or emailing back and forth, and hopefully soon we have something to take back to council. One-way lane on Bridge Street to Lime and Halliford. So we have two bare lots there where the gates are with the statues, just to make it a safe way for people to, once they've driven into that lane, a safe way to exit out instead of coming out onto Bridge Street. We're trying to make that a one-way lane, which would cross through Crown land. And unfortunately, it's not a speedy process. It's taking longer than I wish it would be. I've been asking for updates, and hopefully, with me being aggressively trying to get it, we can get it soon. We are still working on the official community plan review and update. The design is complete. I think that was the last stage besides me and Mark going through the land use map. So as soon as we have it in draft form, we can, or design's complete, it's still draft form, we're going to meet with staff, the technical staff that initially met. We'll do a public consultation and we'll go back to council, and hopefully we'll have it adopted soon. And then we can move on to the zoning bylaw. Age-friendly assessment and plan. We had a committee meeting already. We're working on the survey to get out to the public with multiple questions on it, and then we will meet again and have some smaller coffee sessions within town to talk to the public. Poverty reduction planning and action plan, the grant application has gone out. The turnaround was 90 days. So I'm thinking we should hear something probably the end of June. 245 Highway 3 syntax. The zoning was completed for that project. And that one we're also waiting for the development permit and development variance permit. I think we're close to bringing that back to council. I did see something the other day. It's something that Mark's been working with the planners with. So I think we'll have something to bring back shortly. New, I'm not sure council's aware, we have received a development permit for Bromley Place gas station with a restaurant car wash. So that is right across from Living It. There's a large piece of property there. It does not require zoning or an OCP amendment. No. Bromley Place, so it's in the cul-de-sac. So they would access it off the highway and go into the roadway there and into the new build. The application that they have sent in for the DP is impressive, as well as their landscaping plan. I showed it to staff. I've never seen a landscaping plan that comes with full plans. So, so we've got the application. We're still waiting for them to pay for the application. So as soon as we receive the payment, we will proceed with taking it to our planners so that we can start the process for that as well. Yeah. We did, our council extended the request or did an extension for the DP and DVP for 141 Bridge Street for the Wee Brew, craft brewery. So still nothing on that, just the extension was approved. And so we have a few subdivision applications. Most of them are 2 or 3 lots, not a big development by any means, but it does open up some lots for development and housing. Lower Curry Way, Crown Land Tender, roadway policy and road closure bylaw is something, it's working with True, Crown, and Jared. So Lower Curry Way, the design that was done for it to be paved, a portion of it is on Crown land. And so we're waiting for them to give us the land, and unfortunately it takes about a year to 2 years. It was submitted and we should be hearing something shortly. So it was submitted a long time ago when we first started talking about paving Lower Curry Way. So hopefully I'll hear something soon and then we can. It sounds like it. That when I asked about the information, they didn't give any negative. It was like they did say you'll hear something soon. So hopefully, it's not a large portion, but it is. The other exciting thing was that last week I attended the UBCM Housing Summit. It was amazing, and I have to say I'm very, very proud of this council and the staff. We are ahead of what other municipalities are doing as far as secondary suites and carriage houses. That was mostly what the province is trying to get out there, is for communities to open that up to all residential zones, which we have done. The other exciting news, which I was reading on this morning, so I can confirm it, it's not just something that somebody told me at the meeting, is the province is opening up in 2024 forgettable loans of up to $40,000. That's a 50% match. So if I was going to do a basement suite and it was going to cost me, I don't know, $60,000, and I was going to put 30 in, they would give me $30,000 towards that renovation for a secondary suite. There is conditions. It has to be below market rental, and it has to be that way for 5 years, and then I believe the loan disappears as well. Pardon me? It has to be rented at below market value for the 5-year period for the loan to be waived. But it was the announcement now. We'll be moving forward in 2024. But I think it's an exciting thing, and the more information we can get out to our community would be Awesome.
Determine that, market value is pretty high on all of it right now, right? It's like,
Mhm.
I mean, well, it's like, it's kind of hard to.
I think that when they have more details, when they roll it out in 2024, there'll be more information at that time, but in the meantime, it's exciting for people.
As with all these big announcements, there's always the announcement and then more detail kind of trickles out as it goes on.
Yeah, so, but it was a good summit, good workshops. Unfortunately, rural and northern communities only had one session. A lot of it was, and none presented. So a lot of it was bigger communities, as present. People did presentations and stuff, but it was still good. It was interesting.
Do they still say we're not building enough houses?
They're saying everywhere there's not enough houses. And yeah. So I'll move on to corporate services. So the delegation bylaw we briefly had at a committee of the whole. I think I would like to bring it back to council because I need more direction with it. The other thing that I wasn't aware of, and I looked it up in the Local Government Act, and we can do it, is you can give authority for approval for simple DPs to the approving officer as well. So that's something that they're trying to speed up the processing. So for minimal changes, if we can get this delegation bylaw in place, we would still go through the same process. It would still go to letters to neighboring properties. We would do a memo, and it would go to Lyle as the approving officer, and he can either approve, not approve, or send it to council. So, anyways, we'll bring that back to another committee of the whole. The code of conduct policy also went to council during a committee of the whole. It was determined that we need to do a regional code of conduct, so I went to Penticton, had a meeting there with Penticton, Summerland, Oliver, Osoyoos, and Karamias, and we're getting close. It has to be adopted by council in May or rejected. But if council determines they don't want to do a code of conduct, you have to give a reason why you don't want to do it. But anyways, that will be coming soon. We are working on a solid waste and recycling collection bylaw. I thought I had it in draft form, and then new things came up, specifically home occupation and smaller businesses downtown. So I have some more things to work on, and hopefully another thing that I'll get to you soon. Accessible plan legislative requirement, and it's new. Lyle came back. You went to the CAO form and came back that we're supposed to have an accessibility plan, which we do not. So I think this fall we have to have something in place. So it's on my list of things to look into. And charitable donations and gift policy. The mayor has asked that we have something in place for that. I do have a really good one that I sort of borrowed from Kelowna, but I've sent it to the lawyers because I want to make sure that it's correct, because it's a big thing, right? You're dealing with charitable donations. So as soon as I hear back from the lawyers, it's okay, then I'll bring that back to council. And that's my update. Sorry, I was long-winded.
That sounds good. Setting up. By the public.
Yeah, it is exciting. Yeah, really exciting.
That's very good.
Yeah. Any questions?
No.
Perfect.
Okay. Then we have the last one.
I am.
All right, moving on to number 7, correspondence received from files, none. Number 8, correspondence action requests, none. New business, none. Number 10, agenda adjournment. Number 1, April 12th, community meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
And we only have Spencer, and he doesn't have his mic on, but we'll put
Spencer. All right, thank you, everyone.